Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Legendary Pancake, and today I'm gonna talk louder than usual. So yeah, if you're on the computer, it's probably gonna be really loud, or actually, it could be pretty much the same. But on the iPod, uh, I'm having a lot of difficulties getting my sound quality to be loud enough so they can understand and hear what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna try and talk a little louder. I don't know how this is gonna turn out. This could be my first take, and it could go well. Or I could try again, I don't know. But anyway, so today, I'm gonna talk about my favorite cartoon TV show from when I was a kid. Now, I'm pretty sure most people have seen this show. It's pretty common, and it aired for about I think 3 to 4 years. I'm not 100% sure on that. I remember watching it for about 3 years straight, so that was just my guesstimate on that. But yeah, the show is codename Kids Next Door. Now, I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, that was a dumb TV show," or whatever. I don't know your opinion, but I don't know. I just really appreciated that show. It kind of reminded me of myself in many ways. It was a show that it was pretty much everything that I wanted as a child. I wanted a treehouse that had so many compartments that I could pretty much live in my treehouse. It had a a bunch of kids that were all just hanging out and having fun. Now, I mean, I had a great childhood. Don't get me wrong. I didn't have a horrible childhood. I wasn't mistreated, but I didn't have a lot of friends around where I had lived for the first 11 years of my life. I don't know, 11, 12, something like that. I lived in neighborhoods that were mainly adults who did have kids, but they were a lot older than me, and so I didn't have many friends my age. But I still had a good childhood, so nothing wrong with that. But anyway, back to the show. So the plot of the show, if you don't know, is these five kids, um, all with numbers instead of names. I mean, they all have names, like number four. He was my favorite. Um, he was the kid with the blue pants, the orange sweatshirt, the blonde bowl cut hair. You could barely see his eyes half the time. He was cool. I liked him because he wasn't smart, but he still came up with good ideas. And he would do anything for anyone if you just asked him, which that was amazing. That's an amazing trait for a person, even a cartoon person. But you could learn a lot from somebody like that. Um. Anyway, number four, he was my favorite. But anyway, there was five kids. Number one, he was bald. He wore sunglasses, a red sweatshirt, and I think they were brown or blue pants. I'm not 100% sure. But then there was number two. Number two was he was overweight, which whatever, it's not a big deal. He wore a fighter pilot helmet from, I don't know, I'd say somewhat like World War II. Goggles that were yellow, a blue jacket, a white T-shirt, and brown pants. Number one was the leader. Number two was kind of their tech guy. Like he was the one that flew things, like the plane, or if they had a vehicle, or if they had computer issues, he was kind of the guy. Number three was the dumb girl of the group, but she wore a long green sweatshirt. She had long black hair, and I don't think they showed her pants because I think her sweatshirt went down all the way. I'm not 100% sure. But I don't know. That's the last thing I remember. Um, yeah, and she was dumb, but then again, she would work just like everybody else, and she she was good. I guess for beating up adults and teenagers. And then there was number five. Number five wore a red hat, blue jeans, and a blue shirt. I am pretty sure it was a blue jacket shirt kind of deal. Anyway, she was the sassy one of the group. You know, she always had like a smart comment, but it was funny. Like you don't expect that from a kid show. Like growing up, I didn't realize all of the innuendos in TV shows that I watched, and now that I go back and I watch them and I realize that there's a lot in it, and there's a lot of aspects to the show that I didn't realize until now, and it's really cool to see things like that you're not expecting. You have your memories from your childhood, but those are only limited to what you knew back then. Which, I mean, I wasn't a dumb kid, but I didn't know as much as I know now. Which I'm pretty sure most people can say that they learned more the older they got. I mean, there's probably somebody out there that said, no, I knew more when I was a 10-year-old than when I was a 16-year-old. But anyway, so the objective for the kids, their treehouse it wasn't a normal treehouse. It was like a mansion put onto like a 100-year-old tree it was humongous. But what they did was they would protect kids from the bad guys, which were all adults, and there were some teenagers, which it's funny because number five's older sister was one of the teenagers who pretty much ran the group. So, you know, it was a sister rivalry, and like they would just go home and be fine in front of their parents. They'd be like, yeah, no, I just beat up my sister's group today, but yeah, no biggie. Gonna eat some dinner, maybe watch some cartoons, go to bed. But yeah, they would protect kids, normal kids, not people in the codename Kids Next Door group. Just normal kids. Like if they go to the dentist, there was a dentist guy who he didn't even like try to hurt people. He would just be a dentist, and they didn't like that, so they would fight him and protect kids from having to go to the dentist. And I can't think of the enemy, but he was a toilet bowl. He was so funny because his powers were pretty much useless, and he never won ever. But he tried, and he tried, and he did work, I guess. And there were kid enemies. I lied. There was these kids that lived down the street from them. They were proper. They had one dad. They didn't have a mom. They would always dress in these fancy clothes. Like they would all wear suits or dresses, and they all walked in a group. Like they wouldn't split apart from the group, and like even if they were fighting, like they would all stay in a group. It's funny. It kind of reminds me of like bad guys in a video game. How if you go into like a building, there's just a bunch of bad guys in one group, and you have to go in and fight them all. And if you try to just lead one away, they all come running at you. But there was a kid in that group that he wore a football helmet, and I never understood why he wore the football helmet. It was just kind of there, and I don't know. The creators of the show were just, I guess they just thought it was a good idea. But yeah, I think that wraps up the show. My favorite episode was the one where they showed who Zero was, because you know there was numbers 1 through the thousands of different kids, and number 0 was like the guy who started it all, and it turns out that number 0 was number 1's dad, and it was just awesome because it was pretty much like the last episode that I remember seeing, and I can remember pretty much everything that happened, but that's a completely different time for me to tell you that. But yeah, so yeah, Codename Kids Next Door. Look it up, noobs.